or make sure that polluted water doesn't come through our faucets, as has happened in Flint, Michigan. And it's in this climate that Jim Gaughran steps up to this race against an incumbent who I've worked with. I know him. I've known him for a long time. An incumbent who is all about preserving his power, but not returning power to the people that he represents. Who is not a problem solver, but is an ideologue. Who's not there because he has a specific agenda for the people that he represents, but because of his agenda. And his agenda is just winning another 2-year term. Well, enough of that, folks. Enough of that. We need disruptors. We need problem solvers. Now, I met Jimmy Gaughran when Jane Devine introduced me to him. And I'm happy to tell you, I worked on his campaign for the Suffolk County Legislature. And then we were running mates in 1993. Jim ran for supervisor, I ran for the town board. And I just fell in love with him then. And we've been working together ever since. And the job he has done in the Suffolk County Water Authority, his leadership on behalf of our environment, keep making sure the Long Island Sound is a safe and healthy place to go, standing up for middle-class families, and standing up against corruption and the abuse of power whenever he sees it, and it is rampant with the current senator, though that record, that proactive agenda, is exactly what the people of this senatorial district want. So the question isn't whether Jimmy Gaughran is going to be the senator. The question is whether he'll have the resources to get his message out. And if he does, guaranteed he will be the senator. People want to vote for him. They just don't know yet that they want to vote for him. And we got to make sure they know. So, are we ready to work hard for Jimmy Gaughran every day? Are we ready to work hard for Jimmy Gaughran every day? Are we ready to plan to raise money for Jimmy Gaughran, whether it's the max or just a few dollars? Are we ready to continue to contribute to Jimmy Gaughran to make him a senator? Are you ready for Jimmy Gaughran to be the next senator? The next senator from Suffolk County and parts of Nassau County, my friend, your friend, Jimmy Gaughran.
Did somebody film that? We're going to put that on commercial. That was great. That was great. You're hired as the intern. But you know the climate in Albany is a little bit cooler than Washington, D.C. I warn you about that. We are all so proud of Steve, and I mean, imagine. It doesn't even seem like 16 years. He's been there for 16 years.
Look how great Jimmy got.
Yeah. He's right. Representing all of us well, but he really is going to go down in history as one of the greatest members of Congress, and especially from New York State, because not only has he represented this district well, has he taken care of the veterans and all sorts of constituent service, but in many ways even more important than that, he has fought for and has advanced the country. And because of that, we really owe him a big debt of gratitude. And I'm going to tell you something. He's not going anywhere. There's going to be a time and place where he's going to be back in public service, I know, doing some great things. And right now, he's probably earned a little bit of rest and a little bit of the ability to join the private sector. Which is the worst place in the world today. But I know we're all so proud of him, and Steve Israel, thank you. Thank you. Thank you all for coming. It is really so important for me to, as Steve mentions, raise the revenue, and I know I've tested a lot of people, asked you to come, asked you for money, but without this we can't get the message out. But fortunately, we're raising money, we're moving in the right direction. I get asked a lot by friends and then strangers I meet knocking on doors, why are you doing this? My friends, why are you doing this again? You're 59 years old and you want to become a legislator again after all these years? And people I just meet who I haven't met before in Oyster Bay, Glen Cove, and even here in Huntington, will say, why do you want to do this? And to some extent the answer is simple, and that is our government, particularly in Albany, and Steve says in Washington as well, but particularly in Albany, our government has become more dysfunctional and more corrupt than just about any time in our state's history. And it really is a shame. You look at what has happened, you have 5 of the 6 last legislative leaders, both parties, both the Assembly and the Senate, have either gone to jail or going to jail. You listen to the tapes during some of these trials about how they were selling their seats for personal benefit against the interests of the people that they represent. You would think they would have gone back to Albany and they would have done something. And they would have tried to change something. And they would try to adopt some real ethical reforms. Well, ladies and gentlemen, they did absolutely nothing. They passed one pension bill that I guarantee that requires 2 votes in 2 years, and I guarantee you that if I don't win, we don't get a change up in Albany. When they go back, they're not going to pass it again, and we're not even going to have that type of reform. And why am I focusing so much on corruption? Well, if we don't get past corruption in Albany, we're never going to resolve the real issues that we all face. And what is because the cost of corruption, the real cost of corruption, is that here on Long Island, we are hurting in many ways more than the rest of the state. You know, we pay $3 in taxes. We send up to Albany, we only get $2 back. And I'm going to be fighting to make sure that we get our fair share of money back here into this district and back here into Long Island. New York City has problems, upstate New York has problems, but I think the time has come that we can no longer afford to continue to subsidize them. We have a Long Island Sound that is dying, ladies and gentlemen. We need infrastructure money, the sewage treatment plant, to filter stormwater runoff before it gets in there, so that we can protect not only our beaches but our tourism and our fishing industry. Our kids. We're not getting our fair share of funding to school districts. We have a school system with this Common Core system that is out of control, that needs to be reformed, that is no longer addressing the real problems of our kids. And my opponent and his colleagues up in Albany not only are taking more money out of Long Island to send to New York City for education, but a lot of that money is going to these private charter schools, okay, that are really starting to erode public education. Of course, my wife, who is here and I love and is a public educator. We'll tell you just how dysfunctional it has become. And ladies and gentlemen, it's because of Albany. It's because of the dysfunction, it's because of the corruption in Albany, and this is something that has to be turned around. But during this campaign, I'm not going to just be talking about the problems. We're going to be focusing more on what I am going to do to try to resolve them. I have a lot of ethical reforms that I'm going to bring to bear. One of which is, if you come to a fundraiser and give a candidate money, that money should go to his campaign and not into his pocket for cars, for meals, for trips, which is a lot of where this money is going. It's part of the big problem up in Albany. We're going to pass that. I'm going to fight for real reforms so that we can get funding to our towns, to our villages, to upgrade sewage treatment plants. We need infrastructure money for roads, for bridges, because there are so many good projects, environmentally sensitive projects, that need to be built in Suffolk County and in Nassau County, but we need the infrastructure improvements so that's environmentally safe and it makes sense. And that's going to take, again, us getting our fair share of money back from Albany. So